Hello, are you ready to play? Are you a team player? 10 surprising facts about group dynamics. Hi there, I'm Sarah Brazaitis. I have a PhD in psychology and I am an associate professor at Columbia University's Teachers College. At Columbia, I do research and teach classes on group dynamics, meaning I teach my students how to understand how groups work well together or don't. In my 20-year career, I have worked with all different kinds of groups. I've worked as a group therapist and a couples and family counselor, and I've worked with all different kinds of teams, including salespeople at Sephora, a group of friends who started their own architecture business together, a group of medical doctors, groups of teachers, executives at Google, and many others. I love my research and what I teach because groups are everywhere, and we are all a part of groups. So that's a picture of me there on the screen. I'm the woman with the blonde hair and the scarf, and I'm there with my students. And on the right are two of my favorite groups, the CSS rugby team and the CSS cheerleading team. So families are groups, sports teams like cheerleading or rugby at CSS are groups. Many of you are in student project groups where you work as a team on a class assignment for CSS. The cast and crew of the CSS musical is a group with many subgroups too. And all these groups have their own dynamics. So think about how you are when you are with your family at home spending time together. Now think about how you are when you are in a student project group. How about when you are at a party with your friends? What about when you're playing on a sports team? I bet there are all different kinds of dynamics in each of those different situations. Some of us love groups and teams, and some of us prefer one-on-one interactions. And some of us like a mixture of both, depending on the situation and the people. All of that is what I do research about and what I teach at Columbia. I decided to get a PhD in psychology because I found human behavior fascinating, my own, my family's, and everyone else's. I specialized in the psychology of groups because I was most fascinated by how we human beings behave when we are together, in couples, in families, with friends, in work teams, on sports teams, and even in groups on television. I use a lot of TV examples in my class. I show group dynamics on the show Friends, The Office, Blackish, and lots of reality shows. Group dynamics are truly everywhere. For this short video, I have prepared 10 statements about teams, and I want you to decide if the statement is true or false. I will show you this statement on a slide, and then you should jot down for yourself whether you think it is a true statement or a false statement. Then I will reveal the answer and the reasons why. All of these statements have scientific research backing up the answer. That is, I am basing the true or false designations on research in group dynamics. So please know that this quiz is based on science. You have so many experiences being a part of groups and teams already. You may have a sense of whether these statements are true or false from those experiences. Just keep in mind that the right answer is sometimes surprising. So keep score for yourself and see how you do at the end. Find out how much you already know about group dynamics and where you might like to explore more. Okay, so the first one, true or false? The best teams are made up of people who are really bonded. So jot down whether you think that is true or false. It's false. Overly bonded teams are subject to something that's called groupthink. So yes, it's important for teams to be bonded, to feel cohesive, for folks to get along together well and work well together. But if a team is overly bonded, people might not question each other. They might not want to rock the boat, or they might try to keep cohesiveness at all costs. And so sometimes they can all think alike in a way that leads them to the wrong answer or means that they neglect to see a better solution. Okay, I hope you jotted down whether you got that right or wrong. Number 2, teams with a lot of diversity do the best. True or false? Jot down what you think. Teams with a lot of diversity do the best. That is true. Diverse teams outperform teams that are more alike or teams that have people who are more similar to each other on them. However, that is only true if the diverse teams have good team processes in place, meaning it's not okay just to throw a whole bunch of different people together in a group and say, okay, go be a wonderful team. You have to make sure that the team has good ways of communicating, they have decision-making processes in place, that the team members know how to resolve conflict, things like that. So it's really great to have diverse teams, but they absolutely need to have skills and techniques to work well together. Okay, number 3, true or false? You get better results on a team by telling members what they do well rather than pointing out their mistakes. True or false? That is true. Solely criticizing or worse, bullying a team does not get results. Praise does. So this is a picture of one of my other favorite teams. This is Inwood Little League Baseball. And my 8th grader is in the front row there. This is a photo taken a few years ago, so he looks younger than he is now. But on this team, all of the coaches who are in the back row absolutely praise what the team members do well. They really try to encourage the kids to work on their strengths rather than constantly criticizing or bullying them or telling them all the things that they need to fix. Okay, number 4, true or false? Team failure is a good thing. True or false? Jot down what you think. That is true. Teams that fail fast and learn from failure get the best results. So the picture here is what's called the Marshmallow Challenge, and this is a challenge that's given to teams where you try to build the tallest structure possible using uncooked spaghetti and perching a marshmallow on top of that structure. So the teams that do the best in this challenge are teams of kindergartners, and they have put teams of kindergartners up against adults who are getting their MBAs in graduate school, and the kindergartners do the best. And the reason they do the best is because they are not afraid to fail. So they build the tower, it falls down, they learn from that, and then they build it better the next time. They just keep failing and improving. So they learn from their failures, and they're able to build the tallest towers. The other group that does really well are architects, and we're glad about that because we certainly want architects to know how to build good, strong towers. Okay. True or false? Number 5. Nothing kills a good team more than someone who is always questioning the team's work. So is that true or false? Nothing kills a good team more than someone who is always questioning the team's work. That is false. If everyone is thinking alike, no one is thinking, said Benjamin Franklin. So there's a role on a team called a devil's advocate, and that is someone who purposefully questions the team. Are we doing the right thing? Do we understand the assignment? Are we working as hard as we should be working? Is this the right solution? So the person who's the devil's advocate, or folks who speak up on the team and question the team's work, are actually doing the team a service. You always want to be questioning what your team is doing and how you're doing it so that you can work to be the best you can be. Number 6, true or false? If a team has a lot of conflict, then it's not a good team. True or false? If a team has a lot of conflict, then it's not a good team. That is false. It has to be a particular kind of conflict. So the best teams fight often, but they fight well, meaning the best teams have a lot of conflict, but they get resolved quickly. So here I put a picture from the Harry Potter series. So this is Ron, Harry, and Hermione. And they fight a lot. They disagree with each other. They don't agree on the plan of all their different escapades and adventures. And yet they always resolve their fights quickly. And they use those techniques to fight early, often, and well to defeat Voldemort in the end. So the best teams fight often, but they fight well, and their conflicts are resolved quickly. Teams that never fight, often the conflict is, kind of goes underground, or they don't address it. And that can be really problematic. And teams that fight often but don't have good conflict resolution strategies, they're just constantly in a nasty fight, those teams struggle as well. So the best teams fight often and fight well. Okay, number 7, true or false? The best teams are made up of people with really high IQs, so really high intelligence. The best teams are made up of people with really high IQs, true or false? That is false. So on the best teams, you not only need IQ or intellectual skills, but you need EQ, which stands for emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is understanding how people on the team are feeling, who's feeling left out and needs to be invited to participate more, understanding when the leader maybe needs some feedback about he or she not maybe doing what they're supposed to be doing. So EQ is being able to read a room, to understand how people are feeling, and really how to get folks to bring their best selves. So the best teams have folks who have IQ plus EQ. So for example, if you're on a team and you're going to build a robot, you absolutely need to have people on the team who have the intellectual skills and know how to build a robot. But you also need people on the team who know how to make the team work well together. And sometimes people have both, or sometimes you have a combination of people who have IQ plus EQ. Number 8, if a team fails, it is always the team leader's fault. True or false? If a team fails, it is always the team leader's fault. That is false. Leaders need followers. Teams succeed based on everyone's effort. So of course the leader plays a big role in a team's success or failure, but the leader can't make the team succeed on his or her own, and the leader can't make the team fail on his or her own. Everybody participates in the effort. So that is a picture of me. There I am in a scarf again, in the center of the picture in the pink dress. And those are my students in Singapore. And I taught a class in Singapore where I was certainly the leader. I was the teacher. I was the professor. And I led my students as well as I could, but they also really brought their best selves. They studied, they participated, they were kind with each other, they were ready for class, and together we made that a really successful team experience. So leaders need followers, team leaders need team members. Okay, number 9. The best teams have a strong, consistent leader. True or false? The best teams have a strong, consistent leader. That is true. So strong leaders do make strong teams. So absolutely, it's great for teams to have a good leader, but it's not the only thing that you need. You also need good followers and good team members as well. But strong leaders do make strong teams. That is true. Number 10. If everyone agrees that someone is the weakest link on a team, that person should probably be removed so the team isn't dragged down. True or false? If everyone agrees that someone is the weakest link on a team, that person should probably be removed so the team isn't dragged down. That is false. Sometimes the weakest link is a scapegoat, hiding everyone's flaws. So one thing to pay attention to, if everyone on the team is sure that, someone is the weakest link, you might want to take a look at that and think, are we blaming all of the team's flaws on one person? Are each one of us taking our own responsibility for how we've contributed to the team not working as well as we'd like? So always pay attention to the weakest link, because they might actually be telling you something about you and where you might be able to work a little bit harder. Okay, so that was 10 surprising facts about group dynamics. Add up your scores. How did you do? 0 to 5 correct? Hooray! My attempts to trick you into the wrong answer worked. I hope you want to learn more about the surprising facts of group dynamics. 6 to 8 correct? Well done! You're a savvy team player. I hope you will keep learning from your own experiences about how groups and teams work and why they sometimes don't. 9 or 10 correct? Bravo, brava! Will you please come teach my group dynamics course at Columbia for me? If you'd like to know more about group dynamics, about being a psychologist or being a professor, please feel free to email me. I would be happy to hear from you and to chat with you about any of these topics. So that is my email address at Columbia, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you want to know more. I'd be happy to have a chat about any of this. And lastly, this is one of my very favorite teams, the cast and crew of the musical at CSS. I love you all, CSS. Stay strong.